In this video, I'm gonna basically explain why should you not focus on advanced solutions, aka things like jumping straight into AI, machine learning, predictive analytics, which most likely you are not ready for. That's why I named this video "Watch this before implementing AI." And many companies, as you're probably watching this as well, tries to implement AI all over their organizations. They are trying to see solutions or automations where they can minimize manual processes, improve efficiency, and so on and so forth, right? All, as well, they are the biggest problem they have is trying to find the use case, like the problems where they can implement AI. But the problem, and not just AI, basically any machine learning, large language models, solutions, or predictive analytics. But the biggest problem is they're finding the where to implement it, right? And why is that a problem? Because the problem is that they are thinking backwards. They are thinking from the existing solutions on the market to the problem. But in short lines, you should find the problem and see how it can be solved. Just because something can be solved, maybe even other way, cheaper ways, doesn't mean you need to implement AI because it's quite costly, especially if you're building it for yourself, right? As you should, because off-the-shelf solutions won't simply work, which I'm going to go into the minute, right? And why are companies struggling with implementing the AI? Now, the first one is basically trying to define a clear problem, right? They're thinking backwards. The biggest one is data quality. The AI simply requires clean, labeled, well-structured data that either be for unstructured, which is text, audio, and so on and so forth, or structured, which is like basically numbers, saying numbers, like statistics, and so on and so forth, right? Uh, and if you have data silos, incomplete data sets, inaccurate data in your set of data sources, not accurate built and scalable infrastructure, data architecture, data stack, not implementing having a unified view as a data warehouse, that's simply not going to work, right? Cultural resistance is one of as well, and of course as well strategic visions. Basically, similar with AI and how AI works, like any large language models or any other solutions, is simply based on data analytics, right? It cannot be done or used or shown ROI if it's not custom to your goals and needs and priorities. That's hence this is one of our theses at Astella, which is our thesis is that data will only work if it's custom to your needs, goals, and priorities at any life cycle growth of your company. That's why you need a ecosystem, okay, data as an ecosystem, as a program approach that constantly evolves, adapts to your life cycle, increasing your data maturity, right? And the same applies for LLMs, right? Basically exactly the same. That's why you cannot just straight jump into the AI thinking that it's going to solve and magically appear your problem. You need to have a unified and scalable data architecture. Basically, you need to be at certain data maturity level to be able to build AI to show ROI, okay, success, and be okay, actually see the use case of it. And if you just go from backwards approaches and start implementing it, it simply won't work, because that's the biggest trend that we're seeing right now. Companies just thinking and buying off the shelf tools, thinking it's going to solve the problem, but that's very short term oriented, and they don't even have a foundations built. They don't even have an ecosystem, as we call it, to implement AI to try to deliver a certain use case, right? Actually delivering insights and actually delivering the business value. Now, in short lines, what was a summary of this? Basically, you should focus on data analytics at first. That's like the foundation of everything. And this is the simple data architecture that you need to have it built before even. Basically, you have your data sources, right? You have your ETLs, like extract, transform, load, basically extracts the data from sources, transforms it, and it stores it inside of the data warehouse. You have your real-time event data, DBT as a data transformation tool. Basically, this is just other tools, and of course, then you can visualize this data in your dashboards, analytical solutions, embedded analytics, and so on and so forth. And of course, using it as machine learning in your machine learning, AI, and etc. and so on forth. Right. Basically, as you can see here, if you imagine this is like an iceberg, right? And people see this, people see this, and people see this at the top AI, right? Everything here. Let me just annotate this. Everything here is basically this part, which is the hardest and the most, is like 80% of everything, right? And of course, not including the data strategy, which is probably the most important thing. Basically, finding and conducting interviews, turning the data into insights, and so on and so forth, right? And that's why that's the biggest problem, because you're not gonna see and you're not gonna have longer term value from it if you're going to do it in a backwards way, as majority of the companies are trying to do. Now, how to do it correctly? Basically, let's say my majority of the companies is watching this are going to be in this two, maybe even this one uh, category. These are data maturity curve. Data maturity curve is how effectively are utilizing data to produce business outcomes, right? You have your here business value, and you here have basically 5 different data maturity curves. And the first one is chaotic. Basically your analytical and reporting structure is non-existent. It's siloed. Data is siloed, meaning it's dispersed in multiple softwares, locked. You cannot access it. KPIs are undefined, ad hoc. Confidence in data is very low. Employee capability is basically limited. Analytical types, good feeling, surface level metrics, and so on and so forth. Overall description, like teams are overwhelmed with confidence in the reports, data-driven decision. Majority of the people are not even tracking things, like probably not even like in sheets and so on and so forth, maybe. Then you have the other level, which is basically what happened, right? Of course, and just for the record, these levels are like big changes in between. They take time to do that. It's not like, okay, that's done. You cannot just straight jump into the AI stuff. Everything goes by reason, right? It's building a foundation. And basically, the second one is what happened. Basically, this answers for you. Okay, you have data that answers you what happened. Okay, it's descriptive analytics, which is basically historical. You have some visibility. You might be even using like Google Sheets, something sort. You're not utilizing data more effectively. You're not getting insights even the data. You cannot produce actions that actually deliver ROI and so on and so forth, right? And still data is siloed, right? Basically, there is non-existent structure. Then you have things like why it happened. Basically, the data should answer why it happened. Okay, here is the reason why you occur through bottlenecks. Okay, potentially even insights that will propel you to act, right? That will propel you to uncover true reasons why things happen, and why should you do that next, potentially, right? It's presented in the present or real time. The data is still siloed. Of course, it still has to be improved, but it's in much more better place than at the start. Basically, reporting is more improved, it's basic and minimal, and leaders have accurate data, they can rely on data, they have analytical solutions, dashboards, they know what happens, why it happened, and what are the key reasons for the bottlenecks. And this is the huge one. Basically, these are the big changes, right? Just even from this to this is a big change. You can see night and day difference in your revenue, in your profit, in your churn, in your retention, LTV, CAC, and so on and so forth. Especially, and this is not just for one department, because a lot of companies think, okay, we have data, I don't know, our manufacturing or our sales. No, every single department, everywhere. It cannot be just one department. That's basically it, all across the organization, all across. And once it's done, then you can move forward. And once it's adopted, and so on and so forth, right? And of course, with data, you need to start small and expand and think big, right? That's why we always start like this and go up. And then the one is then what might happen next. Basically, predictive measures future outcomes for your forecasting. As I said, here's your as you can see, here's your analytical, predictive analytics, more advanced solutions, right, and so on and so forth. Then at the end, you have your advanced stuff, LLMs, machine learnings, and you have prescriptive analytics, right? The organization is powered by enterprise analytical system, including predictive metrics and data-driven decision making. Basically, you are at that specific stage, right? And you're keeping evolving, even if you're still evolving and improving and so on and so forth, but you're in a much more better position, which you're basically set up for success by implementing AI, machine learning, and so on and so forth, because you have source of truth already built, people already relied, you're already getting insights. As you're using data, you're going to uncover more bottlenecks where you can implement AI in more use cases. The operations are much more better because you have all your sources integrated in one there, so it minimizes the reporting, manual processes, basically not wasting any hours of your team, and so on and so forth, right? And as you can see, it's basically much more better. It's literally happening step by step how it should be, and it's setting up you for the success, right? And as you can see here, business value, the highest, and so on and so forth. So summary in this video is basically, if you're trying to implement AI, start by building foundation for AI. Start by here, right? Which the majority of you are basically in these 3 columns. Start by implementing and improving your data quality, conducting data strategy, basically uncovering the use cases, the problems, the challenges, the goals, the desires, the business questions that you want to have it answered. Implement data architecture and scalable infrastructure, having unified view of your data so it's not scattered across, implemented stakeholder alignment and governance, basically having definitions of metrics defined by each stakeholder and build certain documentations around it so everybody knows what certain things mean, and so on and so forth. This is the foundation of everything, and every organization will need to go through this step that I just showcased you before implementing AI, machine learning, or predictive. Non-negotiable. You cannot build anything more advanced without these key steps. Okay, unified view of your data and improving and relying on your data, right? So if you want to start implementing AI and basically build foundation for AI, and then after that, of course, implement AI solutions, machine learning solutions, predictive analytics, so on and so forth, basically utilize data, which it is at the end, to produce business outcomes, increase your ROI, EBITDA, revenue, profits, retention, so on and so forth. You can book a call with our exploration team and we're glad to help you.